In this video, I'm going to show you 5 things. The first one is what a ceramic coating is, how your paint is dying slowly, and here's why. The second thing I'm going to cover in today's video is which coating do you need. There's a 5-year, a 3-year, a 1-year, and the one where you don't need one. Then number 3, I'm going to talk about what I've actually coated and show you some of the proof of the different vehicles that I have coated. And then I'm actually going to walk you through step by step how I apply a ceramic coating. And then lastly, I'm going to walk you through which one exactly is going to be right for you. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Daniel Barnes. I'm the owner and operator of Barnes Detailing. I also have installed dozens of ceramic coatings. I've detailed over 700 vehicles over the last almost 4 years. I'm also certified to install ceramic coatings through P&S. I've gone through a full training, as well as I've done multiple online courses and done stuff with everything from Rolls-Royce, Maserati, Mercedes, and also a dealership that deals with Ferrari as well as BMW and Porsche, to the more everyday cars, the Hondas, Toyotas, Teslas, and even some fun stuff, a 57 Bel Air and a Chevy Camaro. So the first thing that we're going to get into is how your paint is dying slowly, and here's why. So you know that feeling when you buy a new car and you're like, I'm never going to eat in this car again. Yet that lasts about 6 days. And it's the same energy with paint protection. You tell yourself you'll put it in the shade, keep it in the garage, wash it weekly, that you'll baby it forever. But then life happens. You park outside, the birds declare war and poop on it, and the sun shows up every single day like it owns the place. Your paint begins to fade slowly, and you don't notice at first, but over 2 years, you see the before photo and you see what it looks like now, and you go, man, it didn't used to look like that. So here's what's actually happening. Your car's paint, it's getting cooked. UV rays, birds pooping on it, brake dust. There are all these metal particles from the train tracks, especially if we live in the Sacramento or the Roseville area. Those rail lines, they throw tons of stuff, and all of that, it's sitting on your clear coat. It's baking in and breaking it down. And you can't stop it, but you can slow it down. See, a ceramic coating is like sunscreen for your paint. I'm serious. You go to the lake, you put on SPF 50, or you wear long sleeves. You do something to protect yourself. But because I'm not trying to look like a lobster. And a ceramic coating does the same thing for your car. It's a layer of protection on top of the clear coat. And that layer, that takes a beating so that your actual paint doesn't. Bird droppings, a coating can handle it. Sun damage, the coatings absorb it. And the metal fallout from the rails, the coatings keep a protective barrier. And so the benefit, your paint looks newer for years, not weeks. So here's what you actually get. You get protection against UV damage, bird bombs, environmental fallout, and all the stuff that slowly destroys your finish. Shine. A ceramic coating adds depth and gloss, and it makes your paint look wet even when it's dry. It also adds hydrophobic properties, so water just beads off it like you've just waxed it, except you didn't, and a ceramic coating lasts way longer than wax. And also is easier cleaning. You can use a pressure washer and then blow the air off or blow the water off, and it looks really good. And if you do monthly washes, it also keeps it clean instead of just moving grime around. And here's the part that nobody tells you. Coating your car and then ignoring it is like going to the gym once and expecting abs. A coating works, but only if you maintain it. Most of my coating clients, they do monthly maintenance, meaning that I've got an express exterior and interior, and they just do that every single month. And this keeps the coating clean, it keeps the protection active, and it keeps your paint from aging like it's been parked in Death Valley. And think of it like this. The coating is the sunscreen, and the monthly washes are like putting daily SPF on your skin. And you don't have to do maintenance, but the people who keep their cars long term, like showroom new for 3+ years, most of them do. You're probably asking yourself, like, when do people actually buy this? And there's really two main scenarios. It's when they just bought a new car or a paint that's new to them, so that the paint's in good condition, there's no swirls, no damage, and they want to keep it that way. And that's a really smart move. And at the end of last year, I was actually flown to Florida to do exactly this, install a ceramic coating. And scenario number two is you've been thinking about it for months or maybe even for years, but you're ready to finally pull the trigger because you realize that your paint isn't getting any younger and you plan on keeping the car long term. Both are the right time. The wrong time, it's after you've let your clear coat become toast and now you're trying to reverse years of sun damage. You can't unburn a lobster. So, what happens next? Okay, so here's the next thing. So, which coating do you actually need? Here's how to choose. The three options and what they actually mean. So there's a 5-year coating, and that's $11.99, and that's the paint and the wheels. And then there's if it's just on the paint, then it's $9.99. And this is the full commitment, the strongest protection, longest warranty. And this is good for cars that you plan to keep 5+ years, or if you plan to keep it until you die. And these are garage kept vehicles, trucks that you use for work, anything that you're emotionally attached to and want to look really good for the long haul. Again, I was flown to Florida for a vehicle like this. Someone who had just bought a car that he really loved and planned to keep for the rest of his life. The clients who get this are really people who did just buy their dream car and they plan to keep it for 7 to 10 years. And it's for anyone who's serious about long-term protection. And then there's the 3-year coating. Now, the 3-year coating for the paint and the wheels is $9.49, and then it's $7.99 for just the paint. And this is the sweet spot for most people. It's good for cars that you keep 3 to 5 years, daily drivers, that see regular use and need solid protection without breaking the bank. And the clients who get this, these are the parents with SUVs, the commuters with Hondas and Toyotas, people who park outside but want their car protected. Then there's the 1-year coating, and this is just $5.99 for the paint and the wheels, or $4.99 for just the paint. And this is the entry point. It's weaker than the 3-year or the 5-year, but it's also a smaller investment. The other cool thing is you can also use it as a topper once a year on top of the 3 or the 5-year, and a lot of people will do that as well. And the 1-year though is good for testing out a ceramic coating before committing. And cars that you're not sure if you're going to keep it long term, so a lot of leases, that's when people will do the 1-year coating. And or they're just deciding if you're going to buy it out or not. And this is not ideal for long-term protection, especially if you'll be reapplying it every year. It just ends up costing more in the long run. If you do that for 3 years in a row, you kind of may as well have just done the 5-year plan. And the other thing is with all of these, there are payment plans available. So if you're like, man, I want to do the 5-year, but I don't have $1,199 to do that, you can also do it in monthly payments. So you can break it up into 3 payments. Now, it does add an extra $200 onto the coating, but when you break that up over 3 months, it still ends up being about a third of the cost. So here's when not to get the 3 or the 5-year coating. Let me save you some money. If you're selling your car in the next 1 to 2 years, don't get the 3 or the 5-year coating. It's not going to serve you well. Skip the 3 or 5-year coating, and in this case, do the 1-year coating instead, and keep it detailed regularly, either monthly or bi-monthly. And you get protection and shine for the resale without the big investment into a car that you're just not even going to keep long term. And then coat the next year, the next car that you buy with the 3 or the 5-year coating. The next thing is if you're leasing or you're unsure about the buyout, either do the 1-year coating or just skip it entirely and just do monthly maintenance so you get to enjoy the car. Don't invest $1,200 into a car that you're just going to give back in 12 months. But if you're going to keep it for 1 year or 2 years, then doing the monthly maintenance is usually the way to go. If you do just want to try a coating, you can get the 1-year coating. See how you like it, see how it performs, and upgrade it later if you want. And again, with all of these, there are payment plans available. So if you're not sure about the payout up front, basically what you do is you just add $200 to any of the coatings and you spread it out over 3 months. So for the 5-year coating, it's just $466 a month. For the 3-year coating, it's $383 a month for 3 months. So again, that's just easier to manage for a lot of people. And those are the situations where the big coating doesn't make sense. So here's when the 3 and the 5-year make perfect sense. This is if you're planning to keep a car for 3 to 5 years and you care about how it looks. Get the real coating, not the 1-year, the 3 or the 5-year. Here's why: you get better protection, a longer warranty, and lower costs per year when you break it down. A 5-year coating is $11.99. That's $240 per year for the protection. 5 1-year coatings, that's $2,995. That's $599 per year. The math isn't even close. And the 5-year coating performs better. It's a stronger bond, better hydrophobic properties, and less maintenance. And let me tell you a story about Abraham. Abraham has 2 different cars. He's got an Audi RS6 that's got a 3-year coating that's almost 3 years old. Now this is mostly garage kept and it's still performing great. And he recently added a 1-year topper to refresh it. And he's also got a newer Toyota Tacoma, and he just got a 5-year coating applied to it just 3 months ago. It still looks perfect. The water beads off it like it's brand new, and the dirt wipes off in seconds. Now, why did he get the 5-year on the truck? It's because he's planning to keep it long term. It's his daily. It sits outside. It gets used for everything. And the coating protects the paint. And the monthly maintenance, I actually detail both his cars and have done that every month for the last 41 months. They keep the coatings performing at their peak. And that's the system. It works. You coat it, maintain it, and your car looks and feels brand new for years to come. And here's the other benefit that no one talks about. Coated cars they look cleaner all the time, and they're way easier to clean. And the reason why is because dirt doesn't bond to the paint as easy. And bugs just wipe off rather than baking in. And the brake dust on the wheels, it's gone in just one pass. And if you're doing a wash yourself, you can just pressure wash it and use an air gun and blow all the water off. And it's so much faster. Something that used to take 45 minutes or multiple hours can now just take 20 to 30 minutes. So again, here's my recommendation. If you've got a new car or a new to you that you're keeping in for 3 to 5 years, get the 3-year coating at the minimum, or the 5-year if you're keeping it longer, or it's a vehicle you really care about. Coat the paint and coat the wheels, and then start a monthly maintenance plan if you want it to consistently look great and you not have to worry about it. Again, there are payment plans available if that makes it easier. Again, those numbers were $466 for 3 months or $383. And if you're leasing or unsure about the ownership timeline, just stick with the 1-year coating or do the monthly details until you know. And if you're planning to sell, skip the coating, do a premium interior and exterior and an engine bay cleaning. And I actually have a guy who I can have him sell the vehicle for you to get maximum value. So I also work with an auto broker. And if you've got a brand new car that you just bought and you plan to keep it forever, do the 5-year coating. Do it. You want to do it now while the paint is as close to perfect. You lock in that protection before the sun starts to damage it. So now I'm going to show you the proof. So I actually have, and I may link it, but I've got a time lapse of the Audi RS6 that I ceramic coated. It's now been quite a few years, but I need to kill a myth. People think that ceramic coatings are only for $100,000 plus cars, the BMWs, Audis, Teslas, high-end stuff. And that's wrong. Here's what I've actually coated over the last few years. And this isn't everything, but this is what came to mind as I was putting this together. So just last month, I did a Volkswagen Bug, a Honda Accord. Recently, last late last year, I did a Lexus IS 350. I was actually flown to Florida to do that. I did a Porsche Cayenne, that Audi RS6. I've done multiple Toyota Tacomas, multiple Chevy Silverados, a 57 Bel Air, an Audi Q8, a Lincoln Navigator. Um, and again, it's not all the time, but I was flown to Florida to coat a Lexus. But most of my clients, they're not driving these 6-figure, 7-figure cars. They're driving the Hondas, Toyotas, the Teslas, and the trucks that they bought used, and the SUVs that they haul their kids around in. And the people who get coatings aren't always the ones with the most expensive cars. They're the ones who plan to keep them. That's really the filter. Whether it's a $40,000 Tacoma that you're planning to keep for 10 years, that's worth coating. And if it's a $70,000 lease that you're turning in 12 months, probably not. So it's not as much about the price tag, it's actually about the timeline. And if you're keeping it, protect it. If you're not, don't. And here's what actually happens after a coating. Your car, it just looks cleaner all the time, even if it's been 2 weeks since you washed it. I know that sounds impossible, but the hydrophobic properties are doing their job. And dirt doesn't stick as hard, the water just beads off, and bugs wipe away rather than baking in. And you can go 2 weeks without a car wash, and your car still looks decent. And try that with an uncoated car parked outside in Roseville or in Sacramento. It'll look like you just drove through a dust storm and lost. And the coating just makes things easier. And washing takes less time, drying takes less time, maintenance becomes something you can keep up with instead of dreading. And here's why people actually do this. Protection. It's not just from scratches, it's from time. So your paint doesn't fade as fast. Sun damage, it happens slower. And contamination and dirt doesn't etch in as quickly. 5 years from now, your car will still look newer than it should. And that's the whole point. You're not coating your car to flex on Instagram, although it does look better. You're doing it because you plan to keep the car and you want it to age well. And the same reason you put a case on your phone or a screen protector on your laptop or a screen protector on your phone, the investment is in longevity. And here's a quick story about long-term thinking. I've got clients who've had me detail their cars for 40 plus months in a row. I've got multiple of these clients. And it's not because they're obsessed. It's because they know that consistent maintenance, it's what actually works. The coating protects the paint, and it's the monthly washes that keep the coating clean and performing. The whole system works because they don't skip it. Meanwhile, I've seen people coat their cars and never maintain them and then wonder why their coating stopped working after a year. It didn't stop working, it just didn't take care of it. And again, it's like buying a gym membership and then never going. The membership isn't the problem. And here's the thing, photos don't lie. I've got a bunch of photos, if you go to my Instagram, of the actual vehicles that I've coated. And you'll notice not all of them are these $100,000 supercars. A lot of them are daily drivers, they're work trucks, they're family SUVs. And the common thread, it's owners who care about keeping their car looking good for years. That's the difference. So who should actually get a coating? Anyone keeping their car 3 to 5 years who wants it protected. Doesn't matter if it's a Tacoma or a Tesla. If you're keeping it and you care about how it looks, coat it. If you're not sure about the timeline, start with the 1 year. See how you like it, and then you can upgrade later. If you know you're keeping it long term, go straight to the 3 or the 5 year coating and lock that protection in now. So here's how I actually apply a coating. If you're wondering what does this actually look like, and again, I've been certified through P&S and actually done a training, and then I've also gone through multiple online trainings in this process. So in the earlier part of the video, I explained what the ceramic coating is and why you'd get one, but now I'm actually going to walk you through step by step how I apply this. So the short version is a ceramic coating isn't something you just spray on, especially the 3 or the 5 year, and then walk away from. It's a process. If someone tells you they can just do a quick coating in 2 hours, they're either lying or they're about to ruin your paint. And if someone tells you, and that's not a coating, that's a spray wax with a diploma from YouTube University. So here's the actual process that I use. Now you can actually watch this on my Instagram. I hopefully in the bio there'll be the premium exterior process, and in 15 seconds it'll show you it. But my premium exterior detail, that's the foundation. Before I even think about applying a coating, the paint has to be clean, not looks clean, but actually clean on like a microscopic level to where the paint feels smooth. So here's what that means. I'm gonna clean the wheels and tires, and I want to remove all the brake dust, the road grime, and buildup. And if the wheels aren't clean, the coating won't bond properly to the wheels. Then there's a pre-rinse where I will blast off all the dirt and the debris, so I'm not grinding anything into the paint with the wash. Turns out rubbing sand into a clear coat is bad. Who knew? Next, I'll clean out the door jambs. Nobody sees this, but I do it anyway because half doing the prep means the coatings fail easier and earlier. Also because I can't sleep well at night if I know that a job isn't done well. So after that, then I do the first foaming. This is a thick foam that sits on the car and breaks down contamination. It gives the dirt time to loosen. And then I will do the contact wash. This is a wash mitt. I go panel by panel, no shortcuts, not just a spray it on with a hose and call it good. And then I rinse all that soap off. And then there's a second foaming. Yes, because one pass doesn't get everything. I know it seems excessive, but your paint doesn't care about your feelings. Then the next step is I will use a clay mitt and or a clay reset towel, and this is where I remove any bonded contamination. This can be rail dust, tree sap, industrial fallout, all the stuff that's embedded into your clear coat that washing doesn't touch. Fun fact is, if you run your hand over your paint after washing it and it still feels rough, that's contamination. Your paint shouldn't feel like sandpaper, but here we are. And if you skip this step, you're sealing contamination under the coating, and that's not protection, that's preserving the problem. So I'll do the final rinse off, and the paint is now completely clean, and then I dry with a microfiber towel, no water spots and no streaks. And at this point, the paint is ready for the next step. And most quick detailers stop here and call it a coating prep. Cool story, but I'm just getting started. The next step is paint correction. Now this is optional, but it's recommended. To do this ends up being, for a one step is an extra $2.99, or if you want to do a two-step correction, it's $5.99. But this happens after the tires are dressed, but before the paint prep. And now not every car needs this, but most do. If your paint has swirl marks from bad washes, light scratches from automated car washes, or oxidation from years of sun damage, this is where I fix it. I'll use a polisher and cutting compounds, and I work in a 3x3 feet sections and go around your entire vehicle. This usually takes about 1 to 2 hours for the one-step correction. This is also great if you have water spots on your vehicle. The one-step will also get rid of most of the water spots. Every situation is different with water spots, but a lot of times that will help. Now, why do this? Because the coating is going to magnify whatever is underneath it. And so if your paint has swirls in it now, those swirls will still be there after the coating. Now it will still look much better, but a lot of times when people are going to do the coating, they'll do the enhancement, the one-step enhancement as well. Again, the coating doesn't fix damage, it protects what's already there. If you want your car to look truly flawless, then you want to correct the paint first. And the paint enhancement assessment requires extensive either photos or videos, but it's best done in person. I'll look at your paint and tell you what you actually need. So after I've done the premium exterior detail, and then I've done the paint enhancement, then I will do the paint prep. And this is essentially isopropyl alcohol or any sort of a paint prep solution, but this part really matters. Now that the paint is clean, it's not yet ready for coating. There are polishing oils, wax residue, microscopic contamination that are often still on the surface, and those have to come off for the coating to bond properly. Now, after this, I will make sure that before I've done this, the tires are already dressed, but I'll get that out of the way. And that way I don't get any tire shine on freshly prepped paint. And then the paint prep solution is applied. This is an alcohol-based cleaner that strips every trace of oil, wax, and residue for the paint. And I go panel by panel, spray, wipe, check, wipe again, stare at it suspiciously, wipe one more time just to be sure. And if there's any contamination left, the coating won't bond properly. It'll streak and it won't last. This step is tedious, it's not exciting, not Instagram worthy, but it's the difference between a coating that lasts 5 years and one that starts failing at 6 months. And I've seen DIY coatings fail because people skipped steps and thought they could just wipe it down real quick. Yeah, no. So the fourth step, this is the actual coating application, and this can be a nerve-wracking part, especially if you're new to this. That's the benefit of having done dozens of coatings, is it's not nerve-wracking when you've done it. So now we're ready. The paint is clean, it's prepped, it's ready to bond. Now, here goes the coating application. I actually go car by car, so every car is different, but I will actually go through and mentally cut the entire car up from the hood. I'll figure out which section of the hood I'm going to cut it in half, or am I going to cut it into fourths, depending on the size of the hood. But I'll usually start with the hood, then do the front fenders. I'll do the A-pillar and the roof, and then the front of the roof, the front door, then the back door, and the rear fender, the trunk, the rear of the roof, the rear bumper, and then I come back and do the front bumper, side skirts, and rear bumper. And so usually it's front to back, high to low, and then side skirt, and then the side skirts, rear bumper, and front bumper. So yeah. That's the whole system, and every car I end up mentally cutting up a little bit differently, but generally that is the way I go through it. And that spends some time to mentally cut up each of the sections so I can work through it in 3x3 sections, but that's important. And here's what most people do not realize. It's not just wipe it on and you're done. Every single section, and that's why cutting it up and having that clearly in my mind really matters, is because you apply the coating with the applicator pad, and there's a thin and even layer, and then you use a dry microfiber towel to level the coating. And then the third step is to use a damp towel to go over everything again and check for any remaining spots, again, because high spots love to hide, and this step actually helps me find them. And the fourth one is to use a plush towel for the final buffing. And this is what gives it that glass-like finish. And remember, those 4 steps, that's for one section. And then I need to repeat that 4-step process on every single panel all the way around the car. And that's why coating applications can take just that one step, can be 1.5 to 3 hours. It's not 1 step per panel, it's 4 steps per panel multiplied by 15 to 20 sections. Now here's where the 3-year and the 5-year coatings differ. The 3-year coating, which I use P&S Inspiration, you have to move quickly because it flashes fast, but you can actually work in bigger sections, usually 3x3. It's a little bit more forgiving, it's a little bit more beginner friendly, although if you were going to do anything yourself, do the 1-year coating, that's going to be so much easier. But it's much more forgiving, and if you're thinking about DIY, yeah, just use the 1-year coating. But the 5-year coating, which is I use P&S Stout, if you have to work in even smaller sections, 2x2, and sometimes smaller if it's hot out. And this stuff is not beginner friendly. The capacity for high spots is way higher. If you're thinking about doing this yourself, do not start with this 5-year coating. You will hate your life. Don't do that. And depending on the vehicle size, these different ones, they'll take between 2 and 4 applicator pads. The 5-year coating needs more applicators than the 3-year because it's thicker and it actually hardens on the applicator faster. And the timing matters here. If you wait too long and the coating hardens before you can buff it out, you'll have high spots and streaks and a finish that looks like you hired your cousin to do it. And not long enough and it won't bond properly and you'll have weak protection that fails early. So again, this one step takes between 1.5 to 3 hours depending on your vehicle's size. And I can work in your garage or in your driveway, but I check temperature and humidity first because if it's too hot or too cold or too humid, the coating won't cure right. And then with the wheel coatings, it's the same process, but it's a little harder because coatings were apparently designed by someone who hates detailers. And wheels have curves and spokes, there's tight spaces, calipers that are just close enough to be annoying, and it takes longer. But having the wheels coated is a game changer because brake dust wipes off instead of baking on, and your wheels stay cleaner for weeks, and it's worth the extra. It's worth every extra minute it takes to apply the coating. And then there's the final quality control where I inspect every panel, I check for high spots and make sure that the finish is even, and I fix everything that's not perfect. And spoiler alert, it's never actually good enough until it's perfect. And then the last step, the fifth step, which is the curing time, and this is the part that you can't really rush. Once the coating is applied, it needs time to cure. Here's where the 3-year and the 5-year coatings differ. The 5-year coating, this stuff bonds almost instantly. You'll see this huge pop to the paint right after application. It's dramatic. Clients usually say something like, oh man, like they see it right away. And you shouldn't get it wet for 24 hours, but if you absolutely need to drive it, you can. You're not going to destroy the coating. The 3-year coating, this one needs a full 24 hours to cure properly. It'll look good right after, but it'll look way better in 24 hours once it's fully cured. Ideally, you keep it inside during that time, garage, carport, covered parking, anywhere that it's not actively raining. If you need to use it, fine, just don't wash it or let it get soaked if you can avoid it. And with both coatings, don't wash the car for at least 2 days after the application. I don't think you're going to, but please don't do that. And if you wash it too soon, you have the potential to damage the coating before it's had the chance to do its job. And that's why I end up giving my clients detailed instructions on what to do and what not to do after a coating. And most people don't realize this part, but they wonder why DIY coatings don't last. Turns out following instructions matters. What a concept. And here's the pricing, because you're probably wondering. So here's one option at each level to give you an idea, and I'll list the full pricing in just a section. So if you do the 5-year coating with the wheels and the 2-step paint enhancement, it's $17.99. That's the full package. Maximum protection. The paint is corrected to remove 70 to 80% of scratches and swirls. The wheels are coated. This is what people do when they just bought their dream car or they plan to keep it 10 plus years. Then there's a 3-year coating with the wheels, and that's $949, and that's our most popular option. This is the sweet spot. It's strong protection, coated wheels, no paint correction unless you add it. If you added that, then it would be $1249. Yes, $1249. And most people choose to do this because it's the best value for the 3 to 5 years of ownership. And then I have a 1-year coating plus the wheels, and this is shorter term protection. And it's good if you're not sure about the long-term ownership or if you want to test out a coating before committing. And all coating packages include a free premium exterior detail, and that's a $200 value. And you're not paying for that extra prep work. It's just a part of the package. The other thing is that there's 3-month financing available for everything. All you need to do is put a credit card on file, and then you can do any of these basically you take whatever the cost is, add $200, and divide it by 3 months. And that makes the investment easier to manage. So here's the complete pricing list. I'm going to read this off for you. just so that way you have it. So with the 5-year coating, if you do the 5-year on the paint and the wheels and a two-step paint enhancement, that's $17.99. So $1,799. The 5-year coating plus the wheels and the one-step paint enhancement, that's $14.99. The 5-year coating plus the wheels, that's $11.99, and that's the most popular 5-year. And then the 5-year that's paint only, that's $9.99. Then there's the 3-year coating options. So the 3-year plus the wheels plus the two-step paint enhancement, that's $14.99. The 3-year plus the wheels and the one-step paint enhancement, that's $11.99. The 3-year plus the wheels, that's $9.49, and that's the most popular 3-year option. Or the 3-year that's only the paint, that's $7.99. Then there's also 1-year coating options. So the 1-year plus the wheels plus a one-step paint enhancement is going to be $8.99. The 1-year plus the wheels is $5.99, and that's the most popular 1-year. And then there's the 1-year that's the paint only, and that's $4.99. So again, with any of the ones, you can add a one-step paint enhancement for $2.99. And every single one of those include a free premium exterior detail, which is a $200 value. And the paint enhancement, again, needs to be assessed in person. So when you pay $949 for the 3-year coating or $11.99 for the 5-year coating, here's what you're actually getting. It's somewhere between 6 to 8 hours of labor, sometimes more for a larger vehicle or paint correction. You get professional grade materials. Again, this isn't a $40 Amazon kit. Years of experience of knowing how to prep, apply, and troubleshoot. A process that actually works instead of a weekend experiment that peels in 6 months. And a warranty that the coating will perform as promised. And could you do this yourself? Technically, yes. You need a polisher that's between $150 and $300, pads and backing plates, that's at least $50, compounds and polishes, that's somewhere between $30 and $100, a clay bar or a clay reset towel, that's $40, paint panel, prep solution, that's $20, the coating itself, which is between $115 to $200, depending on which one, applicators, that's another $40, so you're somewhere between around $700 in materials, plus 10 to 12 hours of your time, plus the knowledge to not screw it up. And most people try it once and go, wow, this is so much work. And they realize they missed a step or there's high spots or they did something wrong and they end up calling me to fix it anyway. At which point they've spent money and wasted a weekend and then they still need to pay me to come and take care of it. So the much easier option is just book it right the first time. And that's the whole process to have your vehicle detailed. And here's the last thing. So we started off with and here's what happens if you wait to have your vehicle detailed. So I'm recording this earlier in the year, but I know I'm going to use this video for the whole year. But early on, the spring will hit and pollen explodes, and then everyone suddenly remembers that their car exists and they want it detailed. And my calendar, especially as it gets warmer and more summer months, my calendar tends to fill up quicker, and I've got a lot of monthly maintenance washes, and the coatings take 6 to 8 hours. I block out an entire day for the coatings. So if you want a coating, especially in a given month, it really will serve you well to talk to me as soon as you can, so that way I can block out that entire day to take care of your vehicle. I don't want to be rushed when I'm doing this. So I just want you to know that the sooner that you do this, the sooner your car is protected, especially during the hotter summer months when the sun is really baking on the car. So again, if you call me and I tell you I can get you in, you definitely want to book sooner rather than later. And there's all that damage that we're trying to prevent, and it's happening right now if your car's not coated. So what happens if you book now? So, and if you're watching this, you can shoot me a text or just text the word coat to 916-273-3003. And again, that's 916-273-3003. But you really just want to book a time. And so here's the actual math. And I think I talked about this a little earlier. But let's say you're on the fence between the 3-year and the 5-year coating. 5-year coating plus the wheels is $11.99. That's actually only $240 a year for the protection. Now, the 3-year coating plus the wheels is $949. That's $316 for a year for the protection. And both are cheaper than repainting faded clear coat in 5 years. That's between $2,000 and $4,000 depending on the vehicle. So the coating ends up paying for itself. You just have to actually do it. And if you're not sure about the upfront options, you can also spread it out over 3 months. The $11.99 becomes $466 a month, and $949 becomes $383 a month for 3 months. And so it's way easier that way, so you can protect it now, pay it later. A lot of my clients love to do this. So, with everything that I just told you over the last almost 48 minutes, here's my recommendations. If you just bought a car, or you plan to keep one for 3 to 5 years, get the 5-year coating if you're keeping it long term. I know I've said that many times, but repetition is the mother of learning. And so if you're in that 3 or 5 year range, book it now while I have the space and protect the paint before the damage happens. There's so many people that end up coming to me and going, my clear coat's fading. What should I do? And what I want to say to them is we should have done the coating 3 years ago, and that would have prevented this moment. So if your car paint looks good now, that's not the time to say, hey, it's fine. That's the time to go, hey, I should invest in this while it's good because it will stay good for longer. And so again, if the money is the thing that's holding you back, do the payment plan and then spread it out over 3 months. That's why I created that option. Protect it now and you can pay later. And if you're still not sure, you can just do the 1-year coating. It's between $5.99 and $4.99. You can see how you like it and then you can upgrade later. And if you're definitely not keeping the car long term, do either the 1-year coating or become a monthly maintenance client and just have the car detailed every single month. And I'm not sure if I'll still be doing it at this time, but every month I have just either 1 or 2 of these 6-month maintenance plans where basically you can pay 6 months up front. Normally it would be $1,643 to have 6 months worth of detailing. But every month I have 1 or 2 of these available where you can do it for just $999 and you can buy it for 6 months at a time. But I limit it to just 1 or 2 clients per month because I just can't afford to be able to do this every single month for all my clients. The math doesn't math. So you get to save $643. It's an insane deal for you. It's $1,643 worth of detailing for just $999. So a lot of times people will actually do the 5-year coating and then do that, so that way everything is just taken care of. And if you're ready to book, just text me right now and tell me, what are you driving? When do you want it done? Again, I'm recording this in January, but I know you'll be listening to this both now in January and for months or maybe years to come. And so if you just want to text me again to 916-273-3003, text me the car that you're driving, what you want done, whether it's the 5-year, the 3-year, or the 1 year, and when you want it done. If it's this month or if it's the next month, just text me the month that you want it done, and then I will be able to confirm my availability. Again, because I have to block out a whole day, it is really helpful to have as much advance notice as I can, but every once in a while I do have last minute openings, sometimes the same week or the same month, depending on how busy that time period happens to be. And if you're still thinking about it, that's fine, but understand that just thinking about it, that doesn't protect your paint. That doesn't protect you from the paint fading in 3 to 5 years and you going, I wished, like I watched this video, I wish that I would have just done the coating when I had the chance. The other thing is, If you don't know, I have a weekly newsletter that's called the Clean Car Cult. So every single Monday, I send out a weekly newsletter. It's super fun. It's hopefully like this video where you learned, you laughed, and you were more educated on how to keep your car clean. So if you want to join the Clean Car Cult, we don't have cookies. That'll be linked in the description down below. So again, this is Daniel with Barnes Detailing, and that is everything that you needed to know about ceramic coatings.